Chris turns it on, and then I get the okay from our city.
But does it, you still control these?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took notes.
What happened, we had a,
Get into it. That's.
Yeah, it depends on how long this meeting, we should be.
no, I'm saying with Mary.
No, we're talking about dinner.
I know, but I'm saying with me, do you think it's gonna be?
Really?
Okay.
Showtime.
Good evening, everyone. We are calling this special meeting to order of May 20th, 2025, Daytona Beach Shores. And the time is 4 o'clock. So Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Yes, just for the record, it's August 20th.
What did I say? August 20th. Thank you. August 20th.
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Vice Mayor Politis,
Here.
Commissioner Carr,
Here.
Commissioner Conlon,
Here.
Commissioner Dembinski.
Here.
Thank you. And we do not have it on the agenda this evening, but Reverend Melissa France from the Driving Christian Church is here to lead us in our invocation, please.
Hi, everyone. Let's pause in prayer together to mark this moment with gratitude, reflection, and a shared purpose. We begin by giving thanks for the leadership of Kurt Swartzlander, for his steady hand, his dedication, and the care that he's brought to our city. And may his next chapter be rich with opportunity, peace, and continued impact. We honor his tenure and we send him forth with our blessing. And now we ask together, what's next? In this season of transition, we ask that we would be guided by wisdom and grace. May discernment rise above division and hope above uncertainty. And may we listen deeply to one another and to our community and to the needs that call for our attention. As we consider the future of our city's leadership, may we seek not only competence, but character, not only vision, but accountability, and not only answers, but the courage to ask the right questions. Let this meeting be marked by clarity, humility, and care, and let our shared commitment to the good of this city remain our compass. Because even in times of change, we affirm what we know to be true. Life is better here, and together we will continue to make it so. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I get started with new business, I just want you to know how proud I am of this commission that we have here. We had two people that had plans to be out of town, and those two people were so committed to knowing this is a very, very important decision that we are making this evening. Probably the biggest decision of any of our tenure on this commission. So Commissioner Dembinski, Commissioner Card, thank you so much for caring enough about this city that you realize how important it is. And I also have to say to our attorney, we are so glad you are here. I know you have very, very capable attorneys in your firm, but we wanted someone that was familiar, and again, thank you for canceling your plan. So just wanted to say that before we go on with this very important next step. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So, did we start with the resignation letter? What do we start with, attorney?
Yes, I think you should announce, or I guess Kurt should announce that when he is leaving. I think everyone here knows that he is leaving, and he can kind of kick it off.
Okay, thank you. So our very bittersweet news, I do have to tell you, I was very upset with our city manager until I heard the wonderful, wonderful reason he's meeting. I think I've told each and every one of you from working with you that family comes first. And this is something that is very good for his family. Sad for us, but very good for his family. So Kurt.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, was a very hard decision, but I believe I'm making the best decision for my family. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time here, and I'm here through October 14th, so I will continue to do my best in the best interest of all of our citizens here, who are, I'm going to say, some of the best citizens in the state, if not the country. We have wonderful folks here who just love this city and care about it. It's been a pleasure to work here, but my last day will be October 14th, and I will be heading on to different pastures.
Do you want to go over where you're going? So everyone knows it's, no, okay, all right. It's just a decision that is right for his family, and we respect that. Thank you very much. So, Becky, next so I see here right now, we have the ICMA, all 58 pages of it, that tells about recruiting process. I know you have handled this in many different cities. Please guide us on what next step you think we should take.
Okay. The very initial step would be to look at the possibility of appointing an acting city manager to work with Kurt, and I would assume that it would be someone in the, in the city family right now, would work with Kurt in the interim up until he leaves, to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks and that sort of thing. And then you need to figure out how you want to go about finding a new city manager. And there are all kinds of opportunities out there. I will tell you that I'm the city attorney of Cocoa Beach, and last night there was a meeting where they made a decision. They hired a search firm. They made a decision to basically interview 5 people who were brought forward. But you could hire a search firm. You could hire I believe they're the Range Rovers or something like that. Yes, that's a possibility. You could do it yourselves. And when I say that, that would be a staff-driven thing. You could put the word out in the community to see who in the community might be interested. There are endless possibilities of how you want to do it. Some of them cost a lot of money. Some of them cost a medium amount of money, and some of them cost the city staff time. So, and I would not downplay the amount of time and effort it takes for staff to do it themselves, because that's not something typically that your staff is trained for, that they've done in the past. But it is so important, particularly if you're going outside the area to get people to apply. You need to have all the information that's available with regard to their history, their work history, their personal history, their social history. That takes a lot of time to put that together. So if you were going to, I work obviously very closely with staff here, and y'all don't have extra staff people.
Right.
I mean, you don't. You're very.
Lean. Yes, we know that.
I've been amazed at how much individuals get done here.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Well, I mean, but that's the truth. So if this burden were put on them, it would probably be my recommendation that not be done, because I don't know how they could do that and juggle, what they do for the city. Something would have to fall through the cracks.
And I appreciate you saying that. We want your expertise on this. So I think what we should do first is take the first step first. So, and that is the interim manager. So I'd like to hear, first of all, a motion from someone on the dais, someone that you would like to nominate to take that position. Then we will ask that person if they're interested. Okay, and do I hear a motion to?
Madam Mayor and our city attorney, don't we need to officially accept Mr. Swartzlander's resignation first? Now we have a vacancy. Then someone would author a motion to put an interim person to work with Kurt during the period he'll be here till October 14th. And then the third thing we'll do is we'll make a suggestion of what we would like to do as a diocese, what manner we want to solicit a new city manager and recruit a new one.
Thank you. Okay.
That sound
I
good?
agree with you.
Yeah, all
I
right.
agree with you.
So do I hear a motion to sadly accept the resignation of our city manager, Kurt Swartzlander, effective October 14th, 2025?
I will sadly move.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, hearing none. So now, do you feel like we can go on to that next step?
Let's vote. Mayor, let's vote.
A vote. All right.
He's got to make it official.
You know I want to put this off as long as I can. And that sadly passed 5-0. So, thank you. You know we're going to rub this in all night, Kurt. So now we will go on to the second part. Do I hear a motion? Now, Becky had talked to me about this before, so I want to make sure that you know that we have the option and logistically, I don't feel it would work out, but, you know, we have the option of putting someone in place, maybe that has put their resume in to be the interim manager. That's probably, I guess I'm safe in saying that's not something that I would really suggest or look forward to, but I want you to know that we have the option of doing that. But with that in mind, do I hear a motion for a name to go forward to be our interim manager, city manager, until the time that we locate a permanent city manager?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So I've done a little bit of homework, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to nominate Director Mike Fowle as our interim manager. And I'm going to tell you some of the reasons. One is, I had a conversation with Mike. I've spoken to some other people, and I think continuity is the key, both for morale, to maintain the integrity, the transparency, and the cooperation we have with staff and us. So I think Mike would be perfect. He does have degrees in public administration, so he actually has the skill set, and of course he has the rapport and the respect of everyone. So that's what I'd like to move. You know, historically, I think Commissioner Dembinski did it when either Booker was sick or somebody was out. So it kind of dovetails into kind of a historical thing. But I think we'll be in good hands, and I think Mike would be an excellent liaison when we start recruiting a new one, because he'll already have information from Kurt. He will already be in that position, and he could then pass it to the next person who will take the permanent position. So with all those reasons, I'd like to move for Director Mike Fowler to be our interim city manager, to work along with Kurt until he ultimately leaves on October 14th.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, what discussion do we have on it?
I have one thing. Maybe we should ask Mike if he'll do it.
That's what I was, after the discussion, I was going to say.
Oh, you'll do it.
Chief Fowler, that is something that we would be honored if you would accept, for the reasons that our vice mayor said. I know that you are traditionally the person that our city manager entrusts to be in charge when he's gone. You know, you're intimately involved with the workings of the city, so we would be honored if you would accept that, and may we have your answer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. I appreciate your confidence, and I will gladly accept. I've been with the city 33 years. We have an extremely strong staff, which makes this decision very easy for me. And I look forward to leading us through this transition and finding our next leader.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion that we wish to speak about?
I would just make a suggestion that Director Fowler enter into an actual contract with the commission so that his current position is protected down the road.
Thank you.
No.
I think I would have to ask the director, but I think we could bring that back at the September 8th, I believe, is our next meeting for the commission to adopt. Becky, would you agree?
Yes, and I'd be happy to draft that.
Becky, may I ask a question on that? I think there's a little bit of a disparity in the wages of our, even though he makes a wonderful wage, of our Director of Public Safety and our city manager. Would that be considered in the 6 weeks, 6 months, whatever it took? Is that something that would be included in the
Typical,
contract?
yes.
Let's hope so.
Question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
For Director Fowler, would you be interested in being a candidate to fill the full-time city manager
Thank you,
position?
not at this time. I still have a real passion for public safety department, and I have unfinished work there. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, good question. I've already asked, but, so that would be included in the contract. Do we know what that amount is ahead of time? Do we have to check with our Director of Finance? And, I'm sorry? Lori, do you have the answer of what the difference would be right now, or was that something you need to look into?
I have to actually look into the exact amount, and I can get back to you with that.
Okay, thank you. One other question, Lori, before you pass that out. So I've had a talk with you about where the, our city manager has been very lean on taking vacation, so I know there'll be a payout, and that will go in October into this year's. What about the difference in the pay that the Chief Fowler would realize? Does that have to be an amendment, or how would, can you tell me how that would be figured, please?
For this year, we do have, we can use actually contingency.
Okay, great. Okay, and will you have that answer for us on September 8th?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, what other discussion on that? So,
One issue which I did write a legal opinion, and I don't know if it was passed on to Chief Fowler with regard to what he will need to do with, resigning his position temporarily resigning his position as both police chief and fire chief with the state.
Attorney Bowes, I did not want to be presumptuous and make any inquiries prior to today's meeting, but I will be reaching out to FDLE, the State Fire Marshal, and FRS to make sure that everything that we do going forward is legal. And that's something that I would think you and I can discuss so that it's in the contract.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'll go ahead and send you my opinion, but I will tell you that the opinion suggests that you confirm, particularly with regard to the pension.
Yes, thank you.
anything else we're missing that you could think of? Please feel free. as you
I've
think-
already written the agreement in my head.
Okay.
So I will be getting it to him and we'll work it out.
Anything else we're missing before we go on?
It depends if you want to discuss the path forward. Now we have an interim, a path forward to finding a permanent.
Yes, and I would like to talk about that. Commissioner Dubinsky, I think you have.
Well, we don't have an interim. We have a motion and a second.
Oh, it
We need
needs to be
we need
voted
vote
on.
on it.
Yes.
Then we have an interim.
Okay, Jerry,
Don't let them get away that quick. That's
Jerry,
what-
can we vote on that?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I want you to. I mean, I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything in this process. It's a first for all of us. And this one, I'm happy to say, passed 5-0. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
No.
So I want this to almost be a workshop that this is a new for all of us. I have been here 7 years. You've been around the city for how long, Commissioner? This is a first for us, so I want to make sure that we get everything out in the open. We got our questions answered. The first thing that I want to talk about, and this is just when Becky had said there's several different ways to do this, I happen to know that Ponce Inlet went through this search maybe 2 years ago, and they, I want to say, played somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 for this search. I want the very best candidate, but I want to give you some feedback that I received, and Kurt received it too when we were in Orlando last week. So we were with the city manager from the city of DeLand that has been around a very, very long time, knows his way around. I believe he was on one of the boards for them and said, Mayor, you have a wonderful, wonderful city. People will be flocking to go to Daytona Beach Shores. You have wonderful residents, thank you. You have no debt. You have a commission, even though we don't always vote the same way, we get along, we respect each other. His suggestion was to advertise it locally or however we advertise it, and then to, when we get the resumes, do not put it on our staff, to your point. Get someone that will do almost an a la carte and go through these resumes, do whatever they need to do in the background and the social media and whatever, and then when it gets down to whatever number we decide on, they move those forward to us, and then we go from there. So that's just something that's, instead of going out and recruiting from Michigan and Ohio, I'm thinking there's probably enough talent in the state of Florida that we would be able to, especially with our city's reputation. So, Commissioner Dubinsky, any thoughts on that or anything that you'd like to do differently?
Actually, that's probably a really good idea. The only thing that I would say different, and I've been involved in a lot of searches for chiefs, is that I would like to see a professional advertisement with minimum qualifications, absolutely, that we agree on as a commission, that the next CM has to have minimum qualifications, whatever those are. I know from experience that we are going to get many people that all of a sudden are familiar with government and can come in and run their city with no problem and have really no experience whatsoever. So I would like to set up some minimum qualifications. I think your idea has a lot of merit. I too am not enthusiastic about hiring a search firm. The $30,000 is minuscule. It would cost us probably minimum of $50,000. I just have a friend who just went through this process, and I know that it was a $50,000 hit, and they got some quality candidates, but it all depends on who's doing the hiring, which we are a very good city to work in. There's a lot of attributes here. We have always we've always risen above our size. You know, we punch way over our weight. And I think we'll get some good candidates, and I'm sure in Florida there's a lot of good candidates, but I would like to see the minimum qualifications along with the professionally written advertisement. And I believe there are companies that will do that, or individuals that can do that if we give them the input. And then we can advertise wherever we feel we want to.
Okay, good idea.
I mean, you know, we got lucky with Kurt, we got lucky, but when we went through this, and I don't mean to take up all the time, but.
No, this is an important decision. I want
We
everybody-
actually, Sherry and I are the only ones, well, Mike was here then, but many years ago, we went through 2 searches where we hired Mike Booker, and then he left, and I went through the second search looking for another CM. That's when I was the acting CM. And it is a very time-consuming process, but I would like to see us do it. I think we are smart enough and good enough to understand what we'd be looking for, and however we proceed. But I definitely believe we need minimum qualifications. And we can all contribute to that, I'm sure.
And I'm sure, Becky, again, we're going to rely on you. I'm sure there's from all the other city managers that, you hired in different places. There's probably a format that we can use and then add to it specifically for Daytona Beach Shores what's working.
Oh, yeah, I can come up with that information because of the different cities that my firm represents. There are 3 that come immediately to mind that have just hired or in the process of hiring.
So I would like those, like you said, the minimum, and then we want to add what is specific to Daytona Beach Shores. Does that work for you, Commissioner?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Commissioner Card, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like the way Commissioner Dubinsky is saying it, his outlook. I trust his outlook on this, and I think I'm going to agree with him. We should go with do some advertisement within the state of Florida and set minimum qualifications, and we'll find the right person.
Okay. Commissioner Economos?
My preference would be to keep it as regional as possible. I understand we may have to expand through the state of Florida just to get a certain number of candidates, but because of unique issues that we face during certain times of the year, it would be nice to have somebody, say for instance, somewhere from Volusia County that already knows the players. I understand that may not be a possibility, but my preference would be very regional. Volusia County, but obviously we can't do that, Seminole, Flagler, but statewide, but I would prefer not to do a nationwide search.
Okay, great. And I agree with you only because, again, with me, going around the state with my role in the Florida League of Mayors, I hear the stories about city managers, and some of them are quite good, but we are unique in Florida with sunshine. I want to make sure that we have a city manager that completely understands sunshine. So to your point, I would prefer somebody, from that. So thank you for that input. One other thing, before we move on to our vice mayor, I really feel like there's somebody that needs to head this up and more or less lead us in the search. And I know normally that's something I take the lead on for two reasons. I would like to ask our vice mayor to take the lead on that. When you think about this, I'm probably only going to be here less than a year when this new person comes on. So it's very, very important for me that we hire someone, that everyone on the council commission gets approval on. And I think with our vice mayor and all the hiring that he has done for all of his associates, I think that would be perfect. One other thing on top of Florida, what you're saying, and this dates back to my time at AT&T, it's very important in this process, I want to make sure that one of the interviews, when we narrow it down to 5, 3, whatever we narrow it down to, that this new city manager's direct report has a say-so in this interviewing process. So once it's narrowed down, it then goes to the 5 directors, and I would like them to do a scoring like we would too, just to know this is the person, that you're going to be reporting to. You absolutely have a say-so in that. So, Vice Mayor, would that be something that you would be able to lead up on this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's funny, I've already started going through this ICMA product. It's called the International City/County Management Association. And I've already got ideas. A lot of it, I'm going to rely on all of us. I'm going to rely on all of the directors, everyone's input, so that way we select the best candidate that, God willing, will take us at the same level of performance we give to the citizens and takes us into the future. Transparency, integrity, honesty, no backstabbing, no toxicity. Yes, the skill set's important, but even more so the personality is. So yeah, I've already spoke to my office manager, and I was able to get out of her office without getting injured. So she knows that I will spend time, and I'll work closely with our city attorney too, so we'll have some guidelines, some parameters, and we'll get through this process. I agree with Chris and with Commissioner Dubinsky that we can maybe start regional and then work our way out if necessary, that we didn't find a candidate that, or at least maybe top 3 or top 5 that we really didn't like. The ICMA may have a contact person that I'd reach out to. Also, the National League of Cities also has
And you can advertise free on there.
and
So not National League, Florida League.
just Florida, and maybe just regionally, like Chris said. But anyway, everyone can put their input, put their 2 cents, and then with all of our combined efforts and parameters, we'll be able to put together an outline, and then we'll go through the process. But I want all the directors involved, and so that way, when we do select someone, hopefully we've done the best effort. But yeah, I'll take the leadership, and you want to put together a committee, or all of us, whatever you want me to do, and I'll be more than happy to report back. during our commission meetings.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Susan, may I ask you, I know at one time I had talked to you and Kurt about getting on that job website. Are we signed up with it now? Great, perfect, okay. So that's the website that we can advertise for no charge on it. And we can you set the parameters, who it goes out to, or does it have to go out to statewide on?
I'll double check on that.
Okay, please, yeah, please let us know on that. Becky, what other sources would we use to put this out and keep it into, as Chris says, more of a regional Seminole, Brevard, type thing?
I would definitely have the PIO send out
We
information.
don't have one of those.
Don't have one of those, then I guess that would land on Kurt. But have press releases go out.
Susan, is that something you could help us with? As our HR manager?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. And, I think that it's definitely newsworthy, and we probably, if we hit all the different media, it would probably get the word out locally without, going viral.
So going back to Commissioner Dubinsky's, so I think the first step, when we decide how we're going to advertise is, first of all, what is our advertisement going to look like?
Sure.
So that's where you're going to give us a form, and then I want everyone to know we're probably going to have some workshops. We can't wait till September 8th and then the 23rd. So be prepared for that. So Becky, if you give us that form,
Okay.
and then we decide what we want to add to that. And I think Commissioner Dubinsky, there's something else you want to add?
I think if we're going to limit this to regional, I think that might be an issue with people. Statewide, I think is a great idea. The reason I'm saying this is if someone lives in Seminole County, or someone lives in Orange County, or wherever we advertise, we're only going to be hitting a certain demographic person, and they probably have homes there. What if we require them to live 30 miles from city limits or whatever? I was thinking more of a statewide thing. These city managers move around a lot, and quality people do move around. I think Kurt Swartzlander is a pretty good example. He's moving around, and I have no objection to wherever we look for somebody, but I would like to have the biggest reach we can. All it's going to take is an interview, and if we don't want to go further with them, that's our business.
And I
A Zoom interview for that matter.
And Commissioner Economist, I agree with you, but then the more I'm thinking about it, I don't want to, if there is a quality candidate in Crestview, Florida, that is, that would be willing to come here, I don't want to limit and not know about that person. So would you be all right, this is, again, a workshop type thing that we're going to talk about and throw out ideas. Would you be all right if we did do the statewide?
No, that's fine, because again, we may not get that many candidates from, regional search, so, but that would be fine.
So I think we're making progress here.
70 at least.
We're making progress that, we've decided that we're going to get that form, we're going to add on to it, we're going to put it to a statewide search. Susan will help us with that, you will help with that as well. What is the next step, or do we just sit back and wait for those resumes to flow in?
Possibly. I will tell you that, just as an example, Cocoa Beach last night, they got 69, and they were nationwide. Most of them, the vast majority of them were out of state. There weren't that many.
In-state.
I think I could count them on one hand, but I wouldn't swear to it, who were local. And Cocoa Beach is a really attractive city.
As well as Daytona Beach Arts?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it has, there's a lot of panache with regard to Cocoa Beach. It's kind of the name that Brevard County puts out there. All you have to do is go up and down the interstate and see all the signs that have Cocoa Beach. It's not that big of a city, but it's got a lot of publicity.
And may I ask where they did hire one from? Do you happen to know where they came from? Did you say they did make an offer and hired someone?
No, they have not. They whittled it down to 5 people, and I believe there was 1 in-state and 4 out.
I like to try and stay.
So going back again, you know, we have the form that we're gonna do. I'm still a little bit confused. What would be the best way then for us to, I guess we can wait until we got these resumes, but how do we go about looking to see if it's the Range Rover, if it's the ICMA that we're gonna ask for à la carte, you know, narrowing down for us? When does that come in?
And honestly, I don't know who does that. I mean, maybe the Range Rovers do.
I believe, do you remember city manager from our conversation last week with Michael?
So I believe Ken Parker, former Port Orange city manager, is the local representative for ICMA, and he does serve as a range rider, I believe is what they call it.
Ryder? Okay.
And, I mean, I could reach out to him and ask, but I don't know exactly what services they do and what costs are. There are obviously these firms that do that would probably also be willing for a price to do that review of resumes and cull it down to a certain number based on commission set criteria. I was gonna agree with the attorney and say if that's a lot to ask of staff, if you ask them to
Yeah,
review
no,
resumes as well.
not our intent.
I also wanted to add, though, the Florida League of Cities, the job posting will just go on the website, so that will be open to anybody that goes to their website, whether they're here or in Europe or wherever. They will be able to view that. So we would probably want to, in that, or say we, you will probably want to choose language that says like local preference or preference for a local or regional applicant.
State.
Or, yeah, I mean, however you want to phrase that, but I believe the mayor was correct in saying that sunshine is a big deal. It's different than a lot of, or most states.
And I will tell you that even if they do whittle it down, as far as, you know, saying these, from their standpoint, these are the top 7 or top 9 or whatever, you have to make those decisions yourself. You can get recommendations.
Oh, absolutely.
Because every step of it has to be in the sunshine. And I have seen other cities, and I've always questioned it, because there's case law on it, that they just take the recommendations of the experts who they've hired, and they've, you know, limited their discussions, limited, you know, what they have looked at to those people. You cannot do that in Florida. So you will at least have to get all of them, and I would encourage all of you to at least, you know, review the resumes of 60-something people.
Okay, so you're saying, so we can't just arbitrarily say, okay, our expert said, here's the top 10.
No, you
Okay,
cannot.
sorry, okay.
Get in trouble
You know,
for
and,
that.
you know, I do, you know, coming from, you know, HR background, that makes perfect sense to me, that we
Yes.
need to do that.
It's a sunshine law violation, actually.
Can I ask a question? If we set out minimum qualifications and we asked our staff to go through the applicants' resumes and sort out the minimum qualifications required, put those, if they don't have the minimum qualifications, to put them aside, and then to give all of us, the rest of the ones who do meet the minimum qualifications, not saying that they're the best choices, just the minimum qualifications, and we each had 20 or 30 resumes to go over.
And that would be fine, but staff would need to do that in the sunshine, which would mean that there would have to be a posting of their meeting where they sat down in a room and they went through the stuff. It has to be done in the sunshine. Anytime you call people out.
Okay, so let's step back. So Commissioner Dubinsky said our staff doing that. So if we hire the range, what was it, riders?
Ryder.
Riders
Yeah.
to do it, does that have to be in Sunshine?
No, because theirs would just be their recommendations.
we're
but
still
you'd
stuck with all of
You'd
them.
be stuck with
At all of
looking
them?
at all of them.
Okay, and I think we've all agreed that we want the staff to have minimal until it's time for them to do the interviews. So that's what I'm saying, we have to decide how much we want, whatever firm this is we choose to do. But, so, go over it with me one more time. So we get 60 applicants. So the range writers review all 60 and say, these are the 10 best, but then we look at all the 60 and agree if those are the 10 best. And I really say, you rank this number 18, but I think they should be number 8.
Right, and typically what the, you know, depending on what company you use, what organization, what they will typically do is they will find what in their mind are the top 8, top 10, whatever it might be, and then they will take an extensive deep dive into the backgrounds of those people. And with social media such that it is, that can take a lot of time and effort. So there's no easy.
One of the things I did want to add, and you brought it up right then, I think we have the commitment from our chief that he is here to help us for as long as we need. One of the things I do not want to do is rush into a decision. This is so important. If it takes, whatever it takes, I'm not even going to put a time frame on it. I want to make sure we find that right person, you know, whatever it takes. But I think, Becky, what you're saying more and more and more is we're going to need several workshops to go over this because we do need to discuss it in the sunshine.
And yes, one thing that I will mention is people come on the market at different times. Because, you know, for whatever reason, particularly when it's around election time, that's when the turnover is the biggest, because it doesn't happen in the shores, but it does happen in an awful lot of places. You know, there will be a change in the mindset of the people on the commission, and typically they will boot out the city manager, or or boot out the city attorney.
That
Yeah,
happens.
I mean, yes, absolutely.
When we advertise for the position, do we have to have an ending date for it as well, or
You
can?
don't have to. You can post it open until filled, and then if, let's say, this November or whatever, a local city manager, if there's a, big turnover, might become available. And it would be sad to lose that person because the time frame is not right.
The only thing I'm concerned with is if we start this process, say, next week, and we put out an advertisement, I know it's gonna take longer to do that than that, but, and we, say we get 20 resumes, and it's really nobody that we're that interested in, and then we have to go through the process again and do, say, maybe statewide or nationally, and have to do that again. So, what would you, I mean, is it plausible to do it somewhat locally first, to see if we get any hits that we're interested in, and then expand it from there? I mean, even statewide to begin with, but I'm.
I can tell you with Google such that it is, you're going to have people from all over the country. I mean, if you only have it in the Volusia County papers or blogs or whatever, somebody who wants to move to Florida, they're going to be Googling, city manager position open in Florida.
And again, this is this free state that people want to come into.
Sure.
So to see a position like that in a debt-free city, and, they're going to do their research. So yes, I am not worried at all about getting applicants. I just want to go over the process that we're going to use. So, so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Vice Mayor. Again, I'm not going to take the lead like I always do. So tell us right now, we've done step number 1, that we have our interim. He's accepted. I think we get his agreement that he will be here to help us as long as it takes to get the right candidate. We've discussed that we're going to get a form. We're going to look at other city managers' requests. We're going to update it for Daytona Beach Shores particulars. What is the next step as you see it?
I think the next step is I'll probably have a conversation with Becky to kind of see what the other cities that they've represented what they did. And then what I'll do is probably have an outline. And then as we start to receive responses to the advertisement for the city manager's position, Becky will hopefully guide me. I have 2 private investigators that work for me full-time in my firm. We can do the background check, but if Becky says, no, Mike, let's do this and this, because you want to do the social media background check, you want, of course, criminal background check, make sure that any lawsuits they were involved in. And then as we begin that filter process, I'm sure there'll be other things we do. And then I guess what I do is I report back to you guys, and then eventually we see, you know, how that selection process will continue on. If you want to have a workshop with the commission and then we all look at these resumes, like Commissioner Dembinski said, so be it. I mean, I'm open to suggestions, but I don't want us to get into micromanaging. I think you have to delegate and let me in the process produce the results with the potential candidates. And then, of course, we'll have an interview process like we did when we select people on the different positions.
So I had a question on that, Becky. Where normally do these resumes go? Who gets these? If you put this out, where do we say send your application to? Where do we normally do
Okay,
that?
if we are doing it essentially in-house, then it would probably go to the city clerk.
Now, is that what we're going to do? Are we going to do it
Yeah.
in-house, or are we going to
Yeah.
hire a search firm?
No.
I think we're going to do in-house to begin, but I want everybody's consensus. My idea was to do in-house first, and then to go to an outside, whoever it is, ICMA, whoever it is, and look these over and more or less score them for us before they send it to us. Does everyone agree with that, that we do the in-house first before we go out?
Are you asking me? Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, I can,
okay.
One thing that could be put in the advertisement would be that, because a star might be available right now locally, who knows? I have no idea. But, you know, put in the advertisement to, you know, respond quickly. It's open until filled. Don't wait until any kind of a due date, because we might have already filled it.
And was that your point, that you would rather have it stay open? Is that where you were getting at?
I would, but, you know, and I think I kind of talked myself out of my original thought, is I don't want to have to keep, I'm happy to work as hard as I can for the city, but I don't want to have to, all of us to keep repeating this process 3 and 4 times. If we get one batch of resumes and we don't like, you know, we're not interested, get another batch. So I would like to keep it open, and if we have to expand as far out as possible to get the number of resumes, I think Becky said Cocoa Beach had 69, and that was a nationwide search. That's fine, and the reason is again, I don't want to have to repeat everything over and over again, so that's fine. And we can still express a preference with somebody who's local anyway if they apply, so I think that's fine.
And that was, by the way, about a 3-month search, if I recall.
Okay.
One other thing that I want to look at, I know, Chris, I know that you're going on vacation, you will not have the access, but I'm hoping during the workshops, we can sit here, and I don't think it's necessary for you to come back from your vacation. I was going to say chief again, but commissioner, for you to come back too. So I think it's something that if we gave everyone the same information during a workshop, we could have the dialogue. I just want to open that up to you, but I don't think it's necessary if you have to fly back again.
No, could Becky explain, how does the relationship with ICMA work? So we're not hiring a search firm, but we still have to pay these folks to do what they're going to do for us, correct?
I have represented cities who have hired ICMA, and they've done a good job.
And
But
there's a rate.
it's relatively expensive, not as expensive as hiring like Colin Basinger, who's actually located inVolusia County.
So that-
He did the nationwide search
Yours.
in Cocoa Beach.
He actually lives
Okay.
in the shores now that,
All right.
so
No,
that's.
he's really good. He's,
And you know what, and I don't want to spend a lot of the taxpayers' money on something like that when it's something that we're all committed to doing. If we see that that's the process that we need and we have to spend the money, that's what I would suggest doing, because again, a very, very important city. And traditionally, city managers stay very long in Daytona Beach Shores. a little longer than 7.5, almost 8 years, but, so it's such an important decision, I want to make sure we're thorough on it.
Do you know how much ICMA would charge us to
I
do what
don't.
they're gonna do? Okay.
I mean, I could take a wild guess, but
I think.
Take a wild guess.
my wild guess would be around 15 to 20,000.
And I know in Ponce Inlet, they had a private person doing it, and it was somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000.
And I think Colin Basinger did for 30 to 35 or something. I don't know. Please don't quote me on that, although I'm
So
just
it's,
said it.
I mean, it's a hefty fund we're talking about, but you're going to
Yeah.
reach out to Ken Parker, city
I
manager.
can reach out to Ken Parker, but I do have a question, and
Yes.
really more for the attorney. If the commission chose to hire an outside party, when people apply, are their applications under sunshine at that point, or when the consultant provides it to the commission? My fear is if the minute we advertise it on the city website as a job posting and the resumes come through our website, that's public record. So if we have a local candidate, their current job could be on the line immediately because it's being run through the public record system. I don't know the legalities of how that would work with the consultant. Is it public record once they submit to the consultant? Or is it not public record until?
Research that.
Yes, check on that, because I can see right now, a city manager from a city right here in Volusia County that might want to put their feelers out, but certainly want their commissioner, their residents to know that they were looking. So
That's exactly why I'm bringing that up. You may have a very good qualified candidate locally, but they don't want to run the risk until they're at least being considered near the end.
Can you check on that?
Considered near the end.
Meaning they make the top 10 or whatever for the commission to select. And that timing of when they're, I've seen a lot of cities, now I don't know the transparency issue, but I just know that there will be applicants that won't want it out there. Say if we post it next week, they won't want to put it out there next week until they're truly being considered for the final selection.
If we put it out there, we could make it clear that, these could be brought to the commission at any time. We meet once a month. We could have workshops that could be scheduled. There would not be a problem. For instance, let's say in the first week, we got 10 applications. We got an absolute superstar in that first, and we recognize it. And the vice mayor recognizes that, this is somebody really good. We could call a special meeting to examine, and we'd have to use all 10 that had so far applied. I mean, that's a possibility, so that something could happen very quickly if a superstar applied.
I think what the city manager is more looking at, that there might be a very qualified person out there, but is a little bit hesitant to even put it out there. So I put my name out there now.
What can I say? I don't know.
And then, can you give us some advice on, I've gotten some calls already. So the advice that we would give right now is we're discussing the process right now. The process, will be open to the public at that time. That's about all we should probably say right now, sitting.
Sure. When are we going to, what's the date of our next meeting?
September 8th.
Okay. So we needed to have that for tax? Or is that our-
It's because of the budget.
Yeah, because the budget, and it's a day early too, because this is what we always do on a Monday because of Volusia County Schools.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, we could always have, a meeting before the meeting or a meeting after the meeting, where, if there, I don't know where to go with this. If someone has a current position and they're not willing to reveal their name, they're not gonna apply anyway, because, there's going to be a period of time of maybe 10 days or 3 weeks, whatever it might be, that their name would be out there. And so the people are are going to see it,
At
so.
AT&T, whenever we were accepting applications for an open position, one of the questions was, have you already discussed this with your supervisor?
Oh, of course. No, I get that, and as a lawyer, when I hire people in our firm, we frequently get people from other firms who are applying. But I'm not a government. I can keep secrets.
And I'm thinking it would be an open, yeah, but that is a good point you brought up. Again, Mike, I'm sorry you're here today. Normally our meetings are just quick, but this is something that we really haven't had exposure to. So Vice Mayor, with you heading this up, what other questions do you have for our attorney, for any of us for clarification?
I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do, and I think I announced it previously, so I'll get with Becky to get some parameters, and then Kurt presents a very interesting dilemma with regards to requesting resumes. I think we go I'll speak to someone at ICMA, I'll speak to someone at FLC, and see what they do, and then I think what I'll do is maybe report back by September 8th. I think that should be more than enough time to get at least a good skeleton of what we're going to do, and then hopefully we'll agree to it. And in the interim, are we authorizing resumes to come to Sherry?
We don't have any minimum qualifications, we don't have an
Yeah, that's
ad.
the first
We have to get a form, and we have to get a
And
format.
so we
Okay.
probably will have to have one workshop before that meeting, either right before or right after that meeting. So once Becky gets us that form and we want to add on, because already we're talking if September 8th is, and again, there's no rush.
2-3 weeks.
Right, I'd like to get at least started on the process.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. So I'll make myself available. I made that commitment. So I'll call you, Becky, what's today, Wednesday? Sometime tomorrow or Friday at the latest, and then we'll start from there.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you.
I love
Yes,
it too.
City Manager.
I was just going to add that since I became a member of ICMA a while back, probably daily I get solicitations from all over the country for city manager openings, and I could probably go grab 10 or 20 of it from my junk email and forward those as a template, just as a starting point.
That would be great.
And then Kurt, let me ask you this question. Are they basically the same? I mean, we're not going to ask a city manager to do a lot more than any other one. What would you say the distinguishing parts are?
From what I've seen, and I haven't studied them.
Because you weren't?
I really wasn't looking at them. Really, it's the uniqueness of each city in terms of, do they have a CRA or not? Things like that. Do they have water and sewer plants? Like we do not. So that would be our emphasis, I think, just my opinion. But we would emphasize the services we do provide and things like life is better here.
So we're more or less selling the position. We want you to come, and this is why our city is so unique and beautiful.
Sales brochure is exactly what it is. Why
Why, yeah.
would somebody want to come here? But I get those daily, so I can provide some recent ones.
I get them for city attorney positions also.
So you understand?
And if they use headhunters, they used to, but now they are digital. I used to get them in the mail. They would be slick cover things that, why in the world did they spend all this money for, something down in Miami? They'll have pictures of the beach, they'll have pictures of this, and it'll be like a 10-page shiny cover magazine.
Wow.
Don't you want to be city attorney here?
Now it's all digital, but same.
And it might be the same thing too. Again, we're selling the position. So Vice Mayor, before we end this part and we move on to the next section, do you have any questions for any of us or for our city attorney?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, does anyone else have any input that they want to give our Vice Mayor? Okay, seeing none, so this was nothing we needed to vote on, this was discussion only. Becky?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to miss another vote. All right. So now we are going to go on to item B, and this is Senate Bill 180, the county request. So let me give you a little bit of background on this. So Senate Bill 180 has been a very hot topic. I was in Orlando last week. We had a discussion on it. So Senate Bill, and as you all know, a lot of cities think it takes away home rule. I have received a home rule arrow 5 times now, so I am definitely for home rule. And this does go against home rule. The intent of the bill was to help residents, this is what they said it was, to help residents who were out of their homes not to be unduly burdened to try and get back in, so that there was no extra restrictions put on them before they got back in. I think the bill was a good bill probably till it got the end, and that it had very vague language that talked about burdensome, how do you measure burdensome? So right now, we received a letter, and it is from our county chair. You'll see the email right there if you look at the last exhibit. So they went over it in a lot of detail, and there were 2 recommendations for amendments to this bill. I want to tell you right now, with the relationship that I have with the legislator, I've already talked to Trace Tremont and Tom Wright. I have a call into Tom Leake and Bill Partington. I want their assurance that if we come up with amendments, if we give them specific examples of how this bill negatively impacts our city or any other city in Volusia County, that they are willing to listen to us and look at our proposed amendments. So I'm feeling, with the relationship that all of us have had with our legislators, that's something that would happen. So what we're trying to vote on right now is in support of the proposed amendments that the county put forward, that we say, yes, we are going to support you on those 2. So I hope that gives you a little bit of background. I think we have a speaker here tonight that wants to talk on the bill. If you want to come up, just introduce yourself and where you're coming from, please.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the Commission, staff, my name is Mike Poniatowski, and I come from the Tomoka Farms Rural Village, a little 2-square-mile enclave out on Tomoka Farms Road. And I've been there for 38 years. Before that, I came from right here, Daytona Beach Shores, grew up here. I worked for a guy named Bob Davis, who you may know or may remember, rest in peace. Running the pool decks for him and selling suntan lotion, taking pictures. I had a beach stand down here just south of the city on the beach for a number of years. And for 40 years, my dad had a business right at Dunlawton and A1A, which is now a CVS pharmacy. So I grew up here. I have a vested interest in your great city. You guys are doing a great job. But let's talk about Senate Bill 180. So it may not affect Daytona Beach Shores. And I really appreciate you guys stepping up and wanting to pass a resolution in support of the county amendments and a letter to support, getting the bill amended. But I think at some point, for those of us who development affects detrimentally, my home was flooded twice since Hurricane Ian because the city annexed pasture land and built homes. We have that all over the county, whether it's in the county areas, Deltona, Orange City, DeLeon Springs. So it affects us more than will affect Daytona Beach Shores. So at some point, can you trust your legislative delegation? Can you trust what they're going to tell you? Because the bill turned into something that it was not supposed to be. And it does usurp home rule, and it does detrimentally affect those of us that live in rural communities with development and property rights. So those are the things I'm talking about today. So if today you can take a further step, is to join the growing coalition of cities, Edgewater and Deltona for 2 in Volusia County and others across the state, to actually join the suit against the state of Florida, to overturn SB 180. And develop it maybe later on into something that really works to protect homeowners that need to get back in their homes secondary to a disaster like a hurricane. But that's not what it does. It usurps home rule, it usurps private property rights, and it detrimentally affects those who live in areas that are subject to vast development. So if you don't decide to do that today, maybe down the road, if you see the legislative delegation is not owning up to their words or living up to their responsibilities to protect us. But what a better message to send for Daytona Beach Shores to today pass your resolution and to step up a little further and join the suit against the state of Florida. It's the bold thing to do, it's the right thing to do, and you'll help protect the other cities the other 16 municipalities in Volusia County that you're partners with. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great afternoon.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mike. Okay, and normally, as we say, in the way that we normally operate is, when someone comes up to speak, we don't address that, but I want to give you a little bit more background on this if you don't know about this. So one of the things that some of the cities, and two of them, as Mike had talked about in Volusia County, are doing is filing a suit against the state on this SB 180. So there will be, I think there's a forum, is it out of South Florida? Do you know? I believe the firm's out of South Florida?
Yes.
Out of South Florida that will be hearing this. And there is other cities, so I want to be fully transparent with you, as I always am. There's other cities in the state of Florida that are joining that suit. That is something, if you want to look into, we can do that at our next council meeting. There is a charge to our residents, probably around, at least starting out at $10,000 to $15,000. I'm going to speak for myself. Right now, I agree with these amendments that we're going to pass forward that the county came up with. The way that I operate is first through diplomacy, networking, and building relationships. I feel like every one of those has a very excellent relationship with our legislators. To Mike's point, if down the road we see now they will start in session in November, so we can reach out to them. But I'm not going to wait till that session starts. I am going to reach out to each one of the legislators, as I did, to see if they're open to supporting any amendments. Are they going to support that? So I would urge each and every one of you, because I know each of you has a relationship with our legislators, to say, this is how we're feeling, not so much for Daytona Beach Shores, but as we've always done, we've always protected the other cities, and we've gone along with them because they've done that through us. So does anyone have any questions on that I might be able to answer? You don't have to give me your answer today, but, Sherry, I'd like this added to the next agenda, that right now we're doing this support of the amendments. And if anyone else has anything that they want to do differently and be involved in the lawsuit against the state, that you would bring that forward on September 8th. Any discussions or any questions on that? No? Okay.
Madam Mayor, there was a third request, or not. The lawsuit request was not in the county chair's email. It was the request to call for a special legislative session. I believe those were the two questions being asked in the agenda item, to do a letter of support for the county's proposed bill amendments, and then either support or don't support a special legislative session request of our Volusia delegation. I don't believe the lawsuit was in there.
It wasn't, and I was just going to bring it up so that, since Mike brought it up, and I didn't know how much people were familiar with that. So also, there is another option too, that a letter of, from our commission, that we would request to the governor that he would institute a special session to hear this SB 180. So Becky, do we take separate votes, or tell me how?
You should take a separate vote with regard to, and I'll jump in here.
Yes.
I have reviewed the proposed amendments to SB 180. Those are the appropriate amendments. That was very well done. I believe it was by the county attorney's office. They did a great job. So I would have a vote on whether a letter would go out in support of these changes, and a separate vote as to whether that letter would include a request for a special legislative session. And I will say that from everything I've been able to view, cities that are really in your face, confrontational with the legislature, with the governor, pay for it pretty severely, and their citizens pay for it pretty severely. There are, repercussions of not being able to get grants. There are repercussions of having DOJ come in and saying, you know, you shouldn't be spending your money on this, this, and this, or whatever it might be. So, you know, just from a legal standpoint, there's nothing illegal about, you know, either filing suit or making a demand for a special session, but I think possibly it's not, from a practical standpoint, a good idea. I think that it's always appropriate to make suggestions with regard to changes in the law. And I don't believe that anyone would find that to be confrontational or, you know, being pushy, putting the shores on any kind of a blacklist or anything like that.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So right now, the first thing that we are going to, well, one other point I wanted to bring up there too, and I'm not even saying if it was, when did session end, May or June? It was so long. Okay, all right. So I'm thinking even then, you know, I might consider requesting a special session. I believe they're going to start to come back and meet again in November. I'm almost thinking at the point that we're at right now, by the time they got that letters and did that, it's almost a moot point. So that's something else I'd like to consider. So I need a motion right now to support the 2 amendment items that the county attorney came up with, that we will send a letter to the county that we're in support of them. That is the first thing I need a motion for, and a second, and then a discussion, and then we'll go on to adding the other one. So do I hear a motion?
Also move.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Yes.
Question on the motion. Can that motion be amended, please, to authorize the mayor to sign a letter in support of those? Otherwise, it needs to come back before the commission to
Okay.
approve the letter.
Good call.
Good, all right.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion.
Okay, all right, you will, okay. And who did the second?
That was me.
All right, that
I'll
was
still
the second.
second.
Okay, thank you. So I will sign that letter that we are in support of that. So Sherry, can you take a vote on that, please? Any discussion, any further discussion?
Oh, forgot to vote. I was waiting for the results. It said vote results. I'm waiting.
Okay, and that passed 5-0. So the second thing I want to know, do you want to include in that letter that we will request of the governor a second, a session, a special session? Does anyone feel like they want a motion? Okay, I'm not getting a motion, so that will die for lack of participation. So thank you very much. So again, I will sign that letter that we've all discussed as a letter of support. So again, Mike, thank you for being here today. You can stay, we only have one more item. Okay, and this is Resolution 2025-14, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to accept properties acquired through the applicable Housing and Urban Development Community Disaster Block Grant Disaster Program. I see our Community Service Director up here. So Stuart, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Stuart Cruz, Community Service Director. So this resolution pertains to single-family residential properties in flood-prone areas that were impacted by Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Milton as well. And so if this resolution was approved by the City Commission, it would authorize the city manager to essentially execute and deliver all documents, instruments necessary to accept the transfer of these properties, real properties that would go through the Volusia County Transform 386 program for land acquisition for these properties that are in flood-prone areas that were impacted by the storms that I just mentioned, subject to federal regulations and subject to any kind of deed restrictions. So essentially, a property that was impacted by either of those hurricanes and are in flood-prone areas, they can apply to the Volusia County Transform 386 program, which is being funded by the federal government, to basically have the county purchase those properties, and then the properties would be transferred over to the city, subject to any kind of deed restrictions. And so the deed restriction more likely would be that the property remains in perpetuity for open space and for stormwater management purposes. So the only obligation that the city would really have, if that were to occur, would, for maintenance purposes, basically mowing the lawn or mowing the grass, you know, dealing with basic maintenance issues. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any property owner that has, that is interested in this project so far. But if a property owner were to be interested in this project and program, they would essentially apply to the Transform 386 Volusia County program, and then we would move forward with that, and this resolution will authorize the city manager to realize that through the acceptance and transfer property process.
Thank you. And to expand on that, so again, with me being on the stormwater mitigation, so Donna Butler, who is managing this program, is a wonderful program. Again, Transfer 386. We don't anticipate, we haven't had anyone that applies, but she's asking every city in Volusia County, many have already done this, to do this resolution. So this is a formality. In case anyone would come along and apply, we have everything in place that they need. So just wanted to explain that to you, what's happening with that. Thank you, Stuart. Do I hear a motion?
I need to read it by title.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is resolution number 2025-14, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Florida, authorizing the city manager to enter into agreements with Volusia County for the acceptance of properties acquired through the Housing and Urban Development HUD Community Disaster Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CBDG-DR funded single-family homeowner repair and replacement program and homeowner recovery program buyout pathway, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Attorney. So do I hear a motion to accept Resolution 2025-14?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions for our Director of Public Services? If not, Carrie, can we have a vote, please? Okay, and that passed 5-0. Thank you for that. City Attorney, I'm sure you had a lot of comments this evening, but do you have any other comments for us?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, do you have any comments for us?
No, I believe I've spoken enough.
Okay, thanks. All right. Commissioner comments. Vice Mayor, do you have anything for us? No. Thank you. Commissioner Economist?
No comments.
Thank you. The only thing that I have right now, Nancy, you don't have that list for me, but I don't think, did you give me that list? We are going to have a concert this Friday night, August 22nd, and that one starts at 6:30, no food trucks. Do you want to go over it?
It's Dustin Seymour, that's all I was going to add.
Okay, great, thank you. And we are, we'll have one more meeting before. I will be resuming Coffee with the Mayor again in September. So this one will be on September 10th. You know, again, these meetings are for our residents. So we have each one of our department heads here, full transparency. You can ask any question and normally get the immediate answer right there. They're very well attended. If you haven't been to them, Chuck and Denise, I haven't seen you at one yet, but I'd love to see you there, 10 o'clock in the morning, so we will be starting those again. Remember, please note that our next City Council meeting, Commission meeting, will be September 8th. A little bit different. It's on a Monday this time. So anyway, Commissioner Carr, do you have anything else for us?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Dubinsky?
No.
Okay. Can I just thank both of you again for your dedication to the city, that you're giving up your vacation. As you see, it was a very, very important discussion. I know you were both going to call in. It just loses something sometime. Again, on the workshop, I think that would be fine if you call in, if you have those in front of you. But this was a very important meeting. I greatly appreciate both of you.
Thank you for your comment.
I don't see any audience comments on the speaker forum. Sherry, did I miss anything? Okay, as I always do, we don't have too many people in the audience. Is there anything that anyone wants to add, even if you did not sign the audience form? Anything else you'd like to talk about? Okay, seeing none, and then Sherry, you have the agenda items that we're going to add on that we got from the meeting today for next time. Okay, anything else that we need to add on to next agenda?